Damn, I missed you all. Can't wait to get back on the air. February 2nd, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The return of the Dan Bongino Show. Lovers, haters, friends, supporters, detractors, you're all welcome. Make that chat room fire. I want to hear it all. Rumble.com/Bongino, February 2nd, 10 a.m. Live. See you there.
Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley Caronia. Just a quick reminder that this show will not be called Nightly Scroll for that much longer. Just a week and a half, then it's going to be Scrolling with Hayley. I know personally I'm going to have an issue with this. I'm probably going to say welcome to Nightly Scroll when I mean Scrolling with Hayley. I'm going to have to do something. I don't know how I'm going to get it through my head, but this is like, do you remember when you're in school and it's the new year? You know, you go back to school after Christmas break and New Year's Eve, and then it's a new date, and you always write the wrong date. That is how this is going to feel for all of us, I assume. For a few weeks on end, it's going to be us writing the wrong date in high school. But it's okay. We're going to get through it. So Nightly Scroll with Hayley. We'll be scrolling with Hayley starting February 2nd, and Dan will be back. I know everyone's very excited about that, but my show will be right after his, so you'll never miss Nightly Scroll. You'll tune in for Dan, and you can stay for scrolling. It's going to be a lot of fun. So until then, subscribe to the Bongino Report channel. Rumble.com/Hayley will bring you there. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you are following so that you never miss a show. Again, this show, the set is going to change, the name is going to change, but it's still going to be available on Rumble, exclusive to Rumble. So again, rumble.com/Hayley is where you can always watch me. So that's not changing. But make sure that you tell a friend about the show. And if you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you listen to the show, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you leave 5-star review, say something nice. All of that helps. So thank you very much. What do we have on the show tonight? Well, President Trump is going to make asylums great again. We need this, right? We absolutely need this. There's a bunch of crazy people on the street. We need them off the streets, okay? And I am going to submit just a few examples of some liberals who might need a little extra help in the mental health department. So we're going to go through those. I had so many videos. Guy said, please, it's too many. So I got in trouble with how many stupid lib videos that I wanted to show you. So we cut it down. We'll just have a few for you. Also, Michelle Obama, former First Lady, she was on the Call Her Daddy podcast. The jokes write themselves, right? Anyway, Dylan Mulvaney, he's also in the news because he's going to be starring as Anne Boleyn on Broadway. Iconic woman in history, played by a tranny. I'm sure she is rolling in her grave. I also have a tinfoil hat time segment that I didn't get to yesterday. Got to get my hat. And let's let the games begin, shall we?
Not disturb.
What?
My phone's not on Do Not Disturb.
Well, put your phone on Do Not Disturb.
Well, I wasn't told to. I was told to let the show begin.
People should know by now.
I don't know.
I'm just shaking it up today. We're shaking it up. Soon the show's going to be totally different. The set's going to be different. I mean, you should already know. 6 p.m., phone is on Do Not Disturb. I don't have to remind you every day. Phone is on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. This is where I'm going to run into issues, by the way. When I say that, I'm going to instinctively say Nightly Scroll instead of scrolling. But it's all right. We'll get through all the growing pains together. But here is President Trump talking about how we have to bring asylums back, make asylums great again. This was him yesterday, again, when he surprised everyone in the fake news and was talking to them at the briefing room in the White House. Watch this.
Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but you got to get the people off the streets.
Hate to build those suckers, but he's going to do it. Don't make him do it, right? I love that he's talking about this. He doesn't want to build these things, but he's a builder at heart. You know, I think he took a crane to the east wing of the White House pretty easily. I don't think that that was hurting Trump too much. I think instinctively he really does want to, he wants to build. He's a builder. Biden ran on Build Back Better, but President Trump, he really is the true builder. So I think if he's tasked with building some insane asylums, I think he'd be happy to do so. And what he's referencing there is this executive order that he signed back in July. And here is the White House info sheet on that. but it was an executive order on ending crime and disorder on America's streets. So how would he do this? Well, part of it is to prioritize institutionalizing people who need it. Imagine that. Homeless people on the street that are addicted to drugs, they would be given shelter somewhere, and beyond just a homeless shelter, they can actually receive whatever treatment it is that they need, because not everyone who's homeless is completely mentally well. A lot of these people have issues, so they should be treated. That's the humane thing to do, right? Take them off the street, give them somewhere to live, an actual solution that's not going to just solve the homelessness problem, but the mental health crisis as well. Gavin Newsom, are you listening? This is what you should have been doing. All the money that you've been getting, President Trump is actually going to do what people in California have been begging Gavin Newsom to do for years. So part of this is he wants to provide assistance to state and local governments through technical guidance, grants, and other legally available means. They want to identify, adopt, and implement a flexible civil commitment, institutional treatment, and step-down treatment standards that allow for the appropriate commitment and treatment of individuals with mental illness who pose a danger to others or are living on the streets and cannot care for themselves, which a lot of these homeless people fall into that category. This is absolutely necessary. And everybody, left, right, and center, should be for this 100%. I'm sure there are going to be liberals somewhere screeching about this, saying that this is, they're going to find something wrong with it. I don't know what they're going to find wrong with it, but they'll find something. And there is nothing controversial about this. We do have a mental health crisis in this country. The CDC, by the way, doesn't even have any updated numbers on this since 2020, not that I could find. But according to GoodRx, people were picking up more prescriptions for mental health issues during COVID, and that number has only increased since the pandemic. That was across 46 out of 50 states. So when I say that this country has a mental health crisis, we are truly in crisis. And it's not just, these blue dots in red states or these blue dots across the country. It's everywhere. It's in South Carolina, South Dakota. I mean, I was reading all of these states and I thought, all right, well, this isn't like a red state issue or a blue state issue. Everybody's mentally ill, and this is a problem. We should really fix this and get to the root of why this is happening. But to President Trump's point here, let's get the people who really need it off the streets and get them help. Again, who could be against this? I don't know. But the CDC says that in 2020, 16.5% of adults were prescribed medication for any kind of mental health issue. 16.5%. That was in 2020. That's more than 57 million people. And again, the number is higher now after the pandemic. So imagine in the last 5 to 6 years, how many more people sought out therapy and were put on some sort of drug, right? Because we know that therapists now, a lot of times, there's a big pharma tie-in here where they just want to medicate everybody, right? It's what can we put you on? How can we make money off of these mentally ill, sick people? And that's a lot of mentally ill people. If you do the math, 57 million people at least in 2020, 6 years later, we've got a problem on our hands. And those are just the people, by the way, getting treated. Those are just the people who have said, I need help. I'm going to go find a therapist. I'm going to go get on medication, right? Think about all the people that don't get treated, the people who are on the streets or people that just don't get treated, right? And the Anxiety and Depression Association of America claims that under 37% of people with anxiety disorders actually receive treatment. So we've got a lot of mentally ill people in this country, and that number is on the rise, and the majority of them aren't receiving treatment. Do all of these people belong in an asylum? Of course not. People go to therapy. Some people manage their symptoms well. They leave therapy. It's temporary. Some need medication, but they go about their normal lives. They're normal people. They take an anxiety pill or an SSRI or a depression pill or whatever, and they're able to live a normal life, go to work, have relationships, etc. But with the deinstitutionalization that happened in the 50s and 60s, the thought process was, these asylums, these big buildings, they're expensive to run. We can just drug these people and let them roam. We'll just treat them all as outpatients. We'll just, they can go get drugs. They can treat themselves, essentially. that hasn't worked out so well, right? We see mentally ill people on the streets. They desperately need access to mental health treatment, but because these institutions were closed, they really have nowhere to go except live on the streets. And it is tragic to walk around these cities and see homeless people. And in some cases, they're good people. They fell on hard times. They couldn't afford to live somewhere, and they're living on the streets. And then it becomes this cycle, right? They turn to drugs. They turn to alcohol. In other cases, they're already mentally ill. They can't find a job. They're on the streets. They turn to drugs and alcohol, etc. We see this happen time and time again. Then, because they're high on whatever, they end up committing crimes. These are the people in New York City and California where, everything in Walgreens or CVS is boarded up, right? You can't even get deodorant without getting someone to help you because everything is under lock and key, right? I mean, how annoying is it to have to press the little button and ask for assistance? It's just impossible, right? The world has now changed to accept that everyone is mentally ill and they're committing crimes instead of actually fixing the problem, right? So now maybe we'll fix the problem with President Trump at the helm. And, again, these people are desperate. That's why they're stealing. Then they're angry. Then they assault people. Then it's really hard for people to break free when they're struggling so badly in so many ways and nobody is coming to help them. So Trump's plan essentially kills a few birds with one stone, because if you open institutions for people who have mental health problems, you're going to get these people treatment. You're going to get them off the street, and you're eliminating at least one reason for the rise in crime in cities. So that's great. And if the government quits spending money on useless stuff, then they'll be able to afford it, right? It's expensive. And President Trump even said, I don't want to build these things, but we got to do it. And, I just want to point out some of the ways that our government can maybe pay for this, right? Because DOJ found a lot of corruption. DOJ found a lot of USAID money going to things like this. $10 million supporting male circumcision programs in Mozambique. That's what our government is spending money on. $8 million funding USAID education on equity and inclusion. Don't need that. $5.1 million testing the effects of cross-sex hormone therapy on transgender individuals in the U.S. Don't need that. $4.9 million funding youth programs with a focus on reproductive health and the intersection of youth and gender equity. What does that even mean? Almost $5 million on what? Youth programs with a focus on reproductive health and the intersection of youth and gender equity. It's just mumbo jumbo. Another $2 million supporting gender-affirming healthcare and LGBTQ plus advocacy in Guatemala. Almost another $2 million providing holistic diversity, equity, and inclusion transformation and training for the Air Force. Don't need it. We've seen Secretary of War Pete Hegseth talk about this at length. Get all this DEI woke bullshit out of the military and focus on real missions, right? Imagine that. Another $2.5 million, this is with the NIH, studying the impact of structural racism on the health of older gay men. Structural racism on the health of older gay men. I don't care. I don't want my tax dollars going to that. What are we even finding out? It's so stupid. Then it gets even worse. A lot of this stuff is places far, far away. $400,000. I know that's like a lesser number than the 10 million and all that, but $400,000 supporting LGBTQ sensitivity training for police in Nigeria. Don't care. Don't care. That is $400,000 that we could be using here for anything. Veterans, these mental health institutions, anything. New roads, anything. Name something that you want done with your tax dollars. All of this money can go to that. $300,000 going to promoting acceptance for LGBTQ people in Botswana. Again, don't care. $70,000 producing a DEI music event in Ireland. Don't care. $68,000 funding dance class workshops in China. What the hell? No! $32,000 creating an LGBTQ comic book in Peru. I think they'd be fine without it. Okay? They don't need our help in that department. Let them write their own comic books. their own gay comic books. And what comic book costs $32,000 to make? Whatever. $25,000 funding a transgender opera in Colombia. Again, we hear enough from the transgender community. We don't need to hear them singing too, although we do have maybe a transgender singing in the show in just a few minutes. So I don't know. We do need them to make fun of. So imagine if we used all of this money to house homeless people, get them the mental health and addiction treatments that they may need to re-enter society. All of that sounds good to me. So let's get to the good part, right? The mental health crisis in this country is not lost on me. I'm reminded of what a deep shit show we are in every single time I scroll on TikTok. So like I said, I had even more examples, but Guy, he was pulling the reins in saying, no, this is enough, right? So here are just a few examples. This is a liberal yelling at ICE agents in Minnesota. Watch this.
And how they street without your mask on and without your shitty little Timu getup, your ass would be stopped by ICE and you fucking know it. You guys tried to detain your own person. That's probably because you have the reading level of a fucking 8th grader, my dude. Come on.
He's staring at it. If you're listening and not watching, the ICE agent is just staring at her like this. Honestly, it's crazy to see these people. They're so worked up, they're so angry, and they're so misinformed. This woman is yelling at ICE agents saying, you're targeting your own people. ICE is targeting illegal aliens. ICE is targeting murderers, criminals, pedophiles, rapists. So no, they're not targeting their own. They're targeting people who are breaking the law, and it's their job to enforce it. Again, here's another group of liberals. They set up it looks like a lemonade stand. But it's really, they're not selling lemonade. They're giving other mentally ill liberals the opportunity to take a Trump doll and smash it as hard as they can. This is supposed to be therapeutic for them. This is supposed to, fix their anxiety. And the woman sitting at the table has a fuck Trump shirt on. The little lemonade stand says the doctor is in, and it is free to bash this Trump doll on this table or on this stool in desperate times. Free in desperate times. I guess she charges 5 cents when it's not desperate times. But I think if you ask liberals, they're always desperate and they're always miserable. So I think they can argue for that free deal at all times. I don't know. You never see this on the other foot. It's never a Trump doll. It's never a Biden doll and conservatives are smashing the Biden doll. I've never seen anything like this when it's on the other foot. It's just, we don't, I don't know, maybe we take our anger out in normal ways. We go to the gym, we regulate our emotions better. I don't know what it is. There's no equivalent on our side of the aisle. They're just absolute lunatics. Here's another liberal. She is crying like tears. The tear is a paid actor. Here's a liberal crying after she was patrolling ICE and she was told to go home. Watch.
Kiba and I went out driving around and...
That's her dog. Her and her dog.
We came across a convoy of 3 to 4 ICE vehicles stopped in front of a fucking daycare because, they're here investigating fraud, right? Then why does it fucking matter if I stop my vehicle in the middle of the street and I honk my horn? Maybe I'm having a fucking mental health episode,
Yeah.
When other people started honking, I started honking. I sat there and I laid on the horn, and then there was a very loud banging at the back of my car, and before I knew it, there was a person on my driver's side window with their fucking gun. I think I'm more
the waterworks.
Angry and frustrated by this than I am scared. I'm pissed that I have to back down because you have a gun, and that you will kill me, and that you will kill anybody that stands in your fucking fascist way.
Someone in the chat said, why do all these women look like men? And it is interesting. They all look the same. They all have this look. They all have their beanies on. ugly glasses, ugly haircut. I don't know what it is, but they all do have a look. And I think it's interesting that she thinks she has the right to stop her car in the middle of the road and lean on her horn. If I did that around here, right? If after the show I just decided to, go into the middle of traffic, stop my car, and just lean on the horn, I think, yes, people would think I'm having a mental health episode. And I'm sure if a cop was called, he would deal with me in whatever, a ticket, something. But you can't act like this. You just can't act like this. You can't just take your car and drive around and park it wherever and honk on horn. You can't do this. You're disturbing society. You don't have the right to do that. And yes, law enforcement has every right to tell you to leave, go home. If I was doing that out in the street right here, some cop would tell me, you need to go home, ma'am. And they probably would ask me, are you having a mental health episode? Can we get you help? And this woman should certainly take it. This next liberal is, again, crying on the internet. I don't know they're all crying on the internet. This one is crying on the internet because her husband is being deported, but we find out some more information that's interesting, useful information. Listen to this.
I'm so fucking sick of this country. My spouse has been detained, so we got approval from ICE to get married. That was such a difficult hurdle to get over. And now the county that is detaining him is refusing to give us a marriage license because he doesn't have a valid ID from the U.S. If he had a valid ID, why the fuck would he be in detention? I have his birth certificate, his expired passport, his expired green card, his expired driver's license, and that won't work. That won't work. So now I'm looking up any fucking county in Texas who will fucking accept that and give me a marriage license because the judge already has me scheduled for an appointment at the detention center for a wedding. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Why?
Well, she says that her husband's documentation is expired. This is expired. This is expired. This is expired. She's like, no one's taking my husband's expired documentation. The answer's right there. You're crying on the internet, but you have the answer. They are allergic to accountability. They want to blame the government for their own shortcomings. They want to blame the government because they didn't do it the right way. Sorry, that's how shit works. Again, I said this yesterday on the show, but you have to apply the law equally. If, you can't just deport some people and not other people, right? The Trump administration said, they made this very clear, yes, we're going to start with the bad guys, but we're coming for everyone. We'll give you the opportunity to self-deport. You could take it with the stipend and leave, and then you have the option to come back, or if we find you, you will be deported. Because the people who came here and then murdered someone, they also committed that same civil infraction, that same civil offense. So we got to just treat everyone the same. You can prioritize the people that murdered people and raped people and are horrible, but y'all got to go. All of you. Here's another woman, maybe, singing about her experience with ICE. Again, just a trigger warning for your ears. Watch this.
I had a run-in with ICE last year in March. They called me sir, and they made it quite clear. They threatened to check my body to see if I was trans. Their exact words. Can't see his face because he hides in disgrace, and he thinks he can take your life. I know I don't know him and he don't know me, but there are things in this world.
Okay, we've heard enough, right? I saw one of the comments on that video was, Uncle Fester actually has a nice singing voice. And I thought that was nice. It's like a compliment sandwich. If you're going to say something mean, you say something nice also. So Uncle Fester, nice singing voice. Good for them. Good for them. This next one, this woman actually deleted her TikTok account, deleted her Instagram. I tried to get the original video, but I had to find someone reacting to her video because she got a lot of hate online. And then, once they get called out, like, hey, what you're saying here is actually crazy. People are like tagging the FBI, tagging DHS, like, listen to this girl. And then she's all scared, right? She deletes her account and everything. So this is a video of someone reacting to the video, but watch this.
Hey, what the fuck is this? Indeed.com, what the fuck is all of this?
These are Border Patrol agent
fuck is
listings.
all of this? And also, what's stopping me from joining, infiltrating the system, finding out where my coworkers live, and stealing their kids and beating up their grandmas and separating their families? What's stopping me from doing that? They should just come here legally then. Your fucking president is a felon!
Okay, so again, this is someone that would really benefit from a grippy sock vacation at an insane asylum. I really do believe that this person is quite insane and needs help, right? And I hope that she gets the help that she needs. But yeah, she says, well, what's stopping me from becoming an ICE agent? And then, what did she say? Slapping your grandma or something? Like, I don't even know what she's talking about. Kidnapping ICE agents' children and beating up their grandmas? What?
Stealing their kids and beating up their grandmas and separating their families. What's stopping me from doing that?
Why would you have to separate an ICE agent's family? It's just crazy. These people, it's absolutely insane. And then this last video that I have for you, I have played on the show before, but this is top tier craziness. This would be a top contender to be committed in one of these insane asylums once we bring them back. This is the naked and very wet lesbian who is very angry. Watch. I love her.
Don't ever fucking come at me
She's
about
soaking
forgiving
wet.
MAGA ever again. I will not forgive. Ever. I will never forget. Ever. And your protest votes are just as fucking bad. Those who can be reformed and brought back in when this is over can be. But that does not mean forgiveness. There is no forgiveness after this. And those of you who are still clinging, I wish ego death upon every one of you.
Ego death upon every one of you. Someone said that's Rosie O'Donnell's daughter. Again, the last time we played this video, I'm not sure why she's soaking wet. I don't know if it's sweat. I don't know if she just jumped in a pool. I don't know if she just got out of the shower. Normally when you get out of the shower or the pool, you put a towel on. So maybe she's just so angry, like she's shaking mad in that video that she's sweating profusely. I don't know. But I do think that she would also benefit from Trump's asylums. So
back mental
make asylums
institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back.
Bring them back. She's your first one. She's your first one. All right, taking a quick break to tell you about our sponsor for tonight's show. That is Helix Sleep. Winter is in full swing, and I'm spending way more time indoors, especially in my bedroom, nice and cozy. Staying comfortable has never been easier since I switched to my Helix mattress. Before Helix, my nights were rough. Night sweats, back pain. That's exhausting to wake up like that. And then I took Helix's sleep quiz, and it matched me with the perfect mattress. No guesswork, no stress. And since then, my sleep has been completely transformed. I wake up refreshed, ready to take on my 2 workouts a day. I'm ready to go to the gym, ready to start my work day. I feel good. And honestly, a good night's rest makes all the difference. Helix is award-winning. It ships free in the U.S. and offers a 120-night sleep trial plus a lifetime warranty. And if you're not happy, their Happy with Helix guarantee makes returns easty. Are you ready to upgrade your sleep? Helix has an exclusive offer for the homies. Head to helixsleep.com/Hayley for 27% off site-wide. Hayley, everyone. That is helixsleep.com/Hayley for 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter Nightly Scroll at checkout so they know that I sent you. Again, that is helixsleep.com/Hayley. All right, unfortunately, we have to talk about Michelle Obama. I'm sorry. But I didn't know because I don't really keep up with her much. I see the clips. She does the podcast episodes with her brother or whatever. I don't know much about Michelle Obama, really. And I like it like that. But I figured out that she wrote a book, sort of. She's named as the author. And it's called The Look. And it was published on November 4th of 2025. And of course, it's being nominated for the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Literary Work. I mean, obviously. Of course it is. And it's a biography, but it's essentially a picture book, right? There are 200 photos in it, and it's 300 pages long. So this, insanely important work of art and work of literary magic, right? It's really not that long, right? It's a picture book. But she provides some behind-the-scenes insight into how her wardrobe came together, all of her outfits when her time as First Lady. And, you might be thinking, none of her outfits were that memorable. No one cared. She wasn't a fashionista the way that Melania Trump is. But of course, she writes a book about it and everyone claps because it's Michelle Obama. No one would do this for Melania, obviously. But here is Michelle Obama talking about this book on a podcast where she claims that she avoids wearing designs by white people and actively tries to buy more from Black people. Watch this.
If I hear of someone whose fashion that I like and I know that they're a person of color, I try to make it a point. We can all do some work to think about that balance in our wardrobes, What does our closet look like and who's in it? Mm-hmm. Who are we supporting in it?
Right.
And I think if you have the money to buy Chanel, then you have the money to buy everybody.
Right.
And so let us be mindful, I think would be my advice.
Yeah.
Isn't it so funny that everything she says, everyone's like, yeah, I mean, could you imagine everything you say, people just clapping seals, loving everything you say every minute? Doesn't matter what you say. No one pushes back on you. It's just like, keep going. Yes, queen. So what Michelle Obama is saying is obviously racist and divisive, and it's a virtue signal. It's also ironic because this next creator, all about politics, has pointed out that Michelle was actually wearing a white lady's designs during this interview. Imagine that. Watch.
Watching this video of Michelle Obama saying that she's mindful to avoid white-owned brands and that we should be too. And I discovered something really, really interesting. When I did a deep dive into what clothes Michelle was wearing, because obviously if she's preaching about not buying white, she better not be wearing white, right? It looks like this Lorelei skirt in printed green check Gonzianella that's $1,000. Well, it was designed by Amelia Wickstead, who's white. Before you go on your privileged, hypocritical rampages, just make sure you're not wearing clothes by the white designers that you claim to boycott.
Right. So Michelle Obama, she's on a podcast saying, and she always loves to play the victim, right? On other podcasts, on her own podcast and other interviews, she's talked about, can you believe that I had to do my own hair and makeup when I was First Lady? Could you believe that we had to pay for our own food in the White House? I mean, we had to pay for things ourselves. Like, not everything was handed to us. Right. So turns out that she's wearing a $1,000 skirt. And the $1,000 skirt is made by a white lady. So Michelle talks. She doesn't walk the walk, right? Michelle Obama's boots were made for virtue signaling, and they were most likely designed by a white person. But she was also a guest on Call Her Daddy. The episode went live today, and every time that Alex Cooper, the host of Call Her Daddy, has a guest on the show, they put out a teaser video like a day or two before to get people excited. Who's it going to be? And it's kind of like this who is it sort of guessing game, and everyone in the comments is guessing who's it going to be. So this was the teaser for Michelle Obama's interview. Watch this. So it's a person with white socks, wearing black pants, black dress shoes. I thought it was like Michael Jackson or something, but it turns out that it's like a poor man's Secret Service agent. And I thought that it was supposed to be Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I thought it was going to be Veep because it was such like a fake looking Secret Service agent. I don't know. I did not think it was going to be Michelle Obama, but at the end, he says, here she comes. So again, I thought it was going to be, I don't know. I thought it was like a joke, but it was Michelle Obama. So here's Michelle Obama on Call Her Daddy, and they're talking about all the feminist stuff. They're checking all the feminist boxes. They're talking about, oh my gosh, isn't it so horrible how we haven't had a woman president yet? Watch.
We've had two really qualified female candidates. One who was First Lady, Secretary of State, well-educated, my husband beat her, right? People were more comfortable with him as a newcomer, right? And now we just had the former vice president. We've had qualified women, and they just, again, if they're not perfect and they don't cross every T and dot every I, there's a falling shortness that is happening that I'd say, look, well, why can't we talk about that? Why are we pretending that didn't just happen?
I want to also just let you know, I agree with you, Michelle. I agree with you. My question back to everyone who's like, oh no, we're ready. It's like, how could a woman hold the highest seat in the government when she has less rights than half the population?
Yeah.
What do you mean, yes? What do you mean, yep? Okay, so let's get into this clip, right? Michelle Obama saying that all these women, right? Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, they're so qualified, right? They're good on paper. It's almost as if that doesn't fucking matter. It's almost as if the American people don't care what you did before this, what you did while you were in office, who you're married to, what school you went to, none of that. No one cares that you've been a lifer in government. No one cares that you've been working your way up, whether it's, Attorney General in California or Secretary of State or whatever, right? No one cares about these titles. No one cares. Because people care about what you do, not just what you say, not just your accomplishments, but what are you going to accomplish for the American people? That's why President Trump changed the game forever, right? He came in and he was an outsider, and all of these government womb to tumors haven't done much for us ever. So people said, well, let's take a chance on President Trump. Let's take a chance on him. He's an outsider. He's a businessman. He wants to build the wall. Like, who is this guy? And everyone liked his personality. Well, some people hated his personality, but I think a lot of people thought, I like it. He's got big ideas. He's got a big personality. Let's do it. The American people fell in love with that. And they liked him so much that they elected him again, right? When it comes to Hillary Clinton, failed candidate multiple times. Kamala Harris, failed candidate multiple times. It doesn't matter what's on their resume. I mean, let's talk about Hillary Clinton's resume. She, Benghazi, for one, that was pretty horrible. Also, every time that she was talking to black people, she would virtue signal to them and say that she's got hot sauce in her bag. It's amazing. Maybe, Michelle, the American people saw through that BS and they didn't want any of it. Imagine that. Then with Kamala Harris, she was just kind of, actually, she ran for president in 2020. She was so bad. She dropped out before anyone even casted a vote for her. And then, she was just kind of like given the vice presidency. She was just given the opportunity. Biden dropped out and they couldn't go with anyone else, right? So it was just, okay, well, Kamala Harris is just going to be thrust into the spotlight. She's going to be the candidate. No one voted for her again. But let's see if we can put lipstick on a pig on TikTok and do the whole Brat Summer thing. And maybe the American people won't realize that she doesn't have a policy platform at all. Her website was bare. In the 11th hour, people started saying, what do you actually stand for? What are your policies versus Biden's policies? Are you going to condemn some of Biden's policies? What are you going to do differently? And she literally went out there in interviews and said, I'm not going to do anything differently. Well, everyone hates Biden. So she kind of shot herself in the foot. She's damned if she does, damned if she doesn't, right? She can't say that everything that Biden did was great, and she can't say that he was horrible because that was her running mate. So she was screwed. She couldn't even really run as like her own candidate and her own person. And again, the last time she did that, total flop. So again, Kamala Harris, not a good candidate. Hillary Clinton, not a good candidate. So this is what they're talking about. Then Alex Cooper has the bright idea to bring up that, women can't be president because they don't have the same rights as men. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. And women can be president. The American people just didn't vote for any. So that's not to say that they don't have the right to. They can. Hillary Clinton ran for president. Kamala Harris ran for president. Women run for president. They just haven't won. And it's not because they have any less rights. When people like Alex Cooper and other people on the left say that women don't have the same rights, they're talking about abortion. That's it. And, you know, really, banning abortion is very equal, right? Because men can't get abortions either. So across the board, we want to just eliminate abortions. But that's really the point, right? They think, well, men are, you know, taking away our right to our own body and all that stuff. And I'm not going to get into the whole, you know, all of the reasons why that's ridiculous, because it is. But it's just crazy how many women are watching this podcast episode and they're shaking their head. It's more of the clapping seals, right? It's Michelle Obama. It's Alex Cooper. And it's just amazing that with this platform, this is what they're talking about. They're still selling the lie to other women that women don't have the same rights as men. It's ridiculous. Also ridiculous is Dylan Mulvaney starring as Anne Boleyn on Broadway in a new show called Six. Watch this. So here's Dylan Mulvaney. He's got his hair in a ponytail and he's outside. He's not wearing a bra. I don't know if people told him that when you're a woman, it's best to wear a bra with your shirt. I don't want to see a trans person's nipples. So maybe, you know, I know it's only his like thousandth day of being a girl, but maybe someone could share that insight with him. But anyway, he's standing in front of the theater and he's promoting the fact that he is going to be playing Anne Boleyn. Okay, so I looked up what the show is about. It's called Six, and it says this: divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. From Tudor queens to pop icons, the six wives of Henry VIII take the microphone to reclaim their identities out of the shadow of their infamous spouse, remixing 500 years of historical heartbreak into a euphoric celebration of 21st century girl power. This new original musical is the global sensation that everyone is losing their head over. So I think that they probably thought, okay, Hamilton was really successful, right? We remixed American history and made it woke and made some rap music, right? So then they're maybe doing the same thing. I don't know. But Dylan Mulvaney is going to be pretending to be a woman on Broadway, which honestly makes a lot of sense because he's gotten a ton of practice pretending to be a woman in his personal life. Especially because the woman that he plays, this persona that he plays on TikTok, on social media, is a bastardized version of what a woman really is. Dylan is a grown man who identifies as a girl, not a woman, a girl. This all started with his Days of Girlhood series, documenting his transition. And Dylan thinks that being a girl is all about doing your hair, doing your makeup, the color pink, having anxiety and popping SSRIs, going shopping to make yourself feel better, and I guess facial feminization surgeries. That's about it, right? So he's an expert. So he's used this TikTok fame to leverage himself into the spotlight, which is really what he's wanted all along. You see these old videos of him on The Price is Right and everything. He's this flamboyant gay guy that's like obsessed with wanting attention, right? He's an attention whore. And now he's got it, right? He used the trans thing, this shtick, to get famous. He's got bajillion followers, and, you know, people eat it up for whatever reason. And now he gets to play Anne Boleyn on Broadway, which is ironic for a few reasons. First reason being he's a man. Also, the woke left is obsessed with representation, right? They absolutely hate when certain actors are cast to play actors that don't actually match the race and sexuality. We saw this with Bradley Cooper. People were mad that he was cast to play a Jewish man in Maestro because he isn't actually Jewish. People were mad that Gal Gadot was being cast to play Cleopatra because she doesn't have brown skin. Ironically, Cleopatra is Greek, so it didn't really apply, but they were still mad. Well, why don't you use an Egyptian woman? Blah, 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 right? People were mad when Rami Malek was cast to play Freddie Mercury because Freddie was gay and Rami Malek isn't. So why is it okay for Dylan Mulvaney, a transgender, to play Anne Boleyn, who wasn't trans? Well, the answer is sexuality swapping and race swapping is okay, according to the left, when the historical figure is white. if they're a straight white person, male or female, it's okay to do the opposite of whitewashing, right? They think that they're fixing whitewashing by, I'm actually shocked that Anne Boleyn isn't Black and queer. I mean, they had that opportunity. Why didn't they pick Cynthia Erivo to play Anne Boleyn? I'm shocked, actually, that they picked Dylan because he's white, but, he's trans, so that works, right? And it's also ironic that Dylan has been cast to play Anne because she was famously beheaded because she failed to have a son. Dylan Mulvaney may think he's a woman, but he will never be able to bear children either because he's a man. All right, let's get into tinfoil hat time. I need my hat. Let's see if you can throw and I can catch this. Uh-oh. Got it. Nice. Nice. Okay. There was a UFO that was seen over Area 51 a few days ago. So I just want to show the picture of the UFO that was seen. This was on an Instagram account. I think it was called like Uncanny Explorations or something like that. Let's pull it up. Okay, Uncanny Expeditions, my bad. So here's the photo. Doesn't show much, right? But it's a photo and it looks like a flying Dorito, essentially. It's just like a perfect triangle flying in the sky. And this was apparently at 3 a.m. over Area 51 airspace. And as always, the footage is blurry and it's amazing, right? I mean, it's high in the sky, but it always looks like a whole load of nothing. Like this could be, a fly on the screen or something. But anyway, you could see the trail behind it. So it's a flying craft, right? And someone in the chat said it totally looks like a UFO. I don't know. UFOs in media, they kind of have like a saucer shape. This is more of a perfect triangle. So it could be a few different things, right? We know the B-2 bomber, sort of that triangular shape, right? But the B-2 bomber, it's got those, and I'm sure there's a scientific, legitimate term for this, but I don't know it. So I'm just going to say like jagged edges, like that shape. So that's what the B-2 bomber looks like. It's got that, it's not an exact triangle. So then, people online, I'm looking through these theories, like what aircraft could it be? People said the A-12 that was discontinued. That was like another government project that they said that they didn't finish. But the A-12 is more of a triangle shape. Also, another triangle shape is this T2 3B Black Manta, right? So there could be a lot of different aircrafts that
What in the New York causes you to pronounce Manta as Manta?
I don't know. Is that my accent?
I don't know.
Manta?
Like the snake?
My bad.
I just felt the need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Manta, sure. But here you go. It's
cool plane
this
though.
Exact triangle, right?
This is like super theoretical.
What?
There's a conspiracy around the existence of this plane as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into that a little bit?
You can go into that.
No, you can go into that.
I mean, I'm not super well researched, but that's why I picked this image because it's theoretical.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So again, there are just rumors about what this could be, right? And I'm trying to like match it up with what the craft is that we saw on this photo that came out, very blurry, all white photo versus what it is. Some people were saying that it could be the Boeing F-47, which the military has been flying experimental versions of for years now. So I think it's probably an F-47. If it's not an F-47, because President Trump, by the way, has said, we are going to really advance this air travel, aircrafts. We're going to up the military. Like we're going to do a lot of big things with aircrafts and we're going to experiment and things like that. So he's already committed to that. I think this is totally a military aircraft. And I will say, I believe in aliens. You all know that I believe in aliens. I believe weird stuff goes on at Area 51. I believe that there are government secrets. I believe all those things. But I also wonder, I'm not big on the government keeping secrets from us, right? I'm pro-transparency. But at the same time, when it comes to our military, you have to understand that there are things that we don't need to know, right? There are things that it would behoove us as a country if they didn't make it public, right? They don't want to make everything public. They can't just like show all of our cards. So I get it. Like, I think that they're testing certain aircrafts, and that's what they're doing at Area 51. It's an Air Force base. It makes total sense to me. So I know this isn't really like an alien conspiracy theory. I feel like I'm debunking it. But I think over Area 51, it's probably military craft. But then when we show videos on this show sometimes of all of these like weird orbs in the sky and they're flying in formation, like I don't think that that's the military. And I think people are so quick to debunk it being like, oh, that's the military. But that to me, like even President Biden said, oh, those are just drones. Well, those are just drones. I don't believe that. I don't believe that people are flying drones in formation like that. And I also don't think those are military craft. Remember, like last summer, it was all over Tennessee, Florida, New Jersey. They were coming out of the ocean. I'm like, I actually don't think that the military would be testing in all of those locations all at the same time. Like, it just seemed odd to me. So, and then Biden was so quick to be like, it's just your neighbor playing with their drone. Like, don't worry about it, which also made me, question everything. So I don't know. I think this aircraft is legitimately an aircraft, but aliens are out there for sure. Let's get into scrolling time. The way the world is going. But this is really how the world is going. This liberal says that she's no longer going to talk to a Republican at a bar. She's going to go as far as to vet people before having a conversation with them. Watch this.
Hey, are you a Republican? Damn, hello to you too. Are you a Republican? What if I am? Don't talk to me. Oh my God, we can't even say hi anymore? You could say hi to someone, just not me. Don't talk to me. You can't even have a conversation? About what? What could we possibly have a conversation about? We disagree completely. I think you're a bad person. Why would I want to talk to you? You don't even know me. You're a Republican. That's what I know. I don't need to know anything else. So my political... Yes, and stop talking to me. I don't want to talk to you. Stop talking to me. Oh my God, what a bitch.
Isn't this crazy, though, that this is how people think? And it's only going to get worse because liberals really don't want to have friendships or even conversations with anyone who thinks differently than them. And this is really what this is about, right? All relationships start with a conversation. And liberals don't even want to converse, let alone debate in the same way that, Charlie Kirk would debate with the other side. They don't want to even enter into that kind of a situation. They just want to scream at you and tell you that you're a bigot or racist or homophobe, transphobe, xenophobe, whatever. They don't want to actually have a conversation and try to figure out, why is it that you voted for Trump? Why do you feel that way? Why do you support ICE? Why do you believe the things that you believe? They don't care, right? And this video shows that exactly. This woman is saying she's going to ask people at first glance, are you a Republican? If so, I don't want to talk to you. And again, this is very one-sided. I have lost friends, two or three friends now, specifically because of politics. And after losing those friends, and this was after 2016, one of them didn't want to be my friend anymore. Another one was around 2016. So two of them, it was after Trump was elected the first time. And then another friend of mine kind of like stopped being friends with me later on. And it's always one-sided, right? I never changed and I would love to still be friends with them, but they deemed me this like untouchable, deplorable person that they didn't want to talk to anymore, which is so interesting because just because I voted for Trump, I mean, I'm still the same person. We still have all these things in common. We like hanging out. We like doing these things. We make each other laugh. We have fun together. Why? I care about you. I love you. Like, why don't you want to be my friend anymore? It's crazy. It's very surface level. It's just this label. It's not who the person really is. And I do find that it's going to get worse because if liberals don't want to be friends with conservatives anymore, it's going to like trickle down into conservatives not wanting to interact with them either, because interactions with liberals are just going to be like that. It's not going to be, hey, how are you? Hey, let's grab a beer. Hey, let's, have a conversation. Hey, small talk. Like, I feel like we are willing to do that with them. We are willing to have cordial conversations. They're not willing to do that with us. And if they are just going to scream and yell and be assholes, conservatives aren't going to extend that courtesy anymore. And it's just going to make the divide worse. So I thought that was, kind of sad. This next liberal, she thinks that if you want the traditional lifestyle of getting married and having kids, you're actually fulfilling a sexual kink and you're pulling everyone else in on it with you. Watch this.
I'm going to say something so ultra woke, I think it's going to make people mad. That I think that women that are obsessed with the concept of traditional child rearing, traditional motherhood, they are living out their fetish in lifetime and they are forcing other people to partake in it. Those other people being their own children and the community around them.
The children
now,
are in
why
on
do
the
I
kink.
say this? This seems extreme, right? Well,
yes.
99% of the lifestyle of traditional motherhood and the throwback to traditional ways of raising children is wanting that dominance of the male in the household. Women do not have their power in that situation. That's why they constantly talk about submitting to their husbands. Their husbands are the leader. They are the homemaker. They are the ones that raise the children. They take care of their husbands. It is reminiscent to me of the movie Secretary when he says, we cannot do this 24/7, 7 days a week. And she says, why not?
Okay. So this is crazy. Obviously,
At least she acknowledged that she's nuts.
She's like, this is crazy. People are going to be mad at me. It's like, I am too woke. Yeah, well, at least she's self-aware. But she says that marriage and wanting kids is a kink, and the kids and the husband are part of the kink. This is really a woman problem. She's blaming the women who want to get married and have kids, which is odd. These are the people who say...
What's not kinky then?
Just living at home alone and
sleeping
being
with
an incel,
everyone and
I
like,
guess. Being a total incel. But these are the women that they champion choice, right? My body, my choice. So then they shame women who choose to have kids. So they're really not pro-choice. They are pro-abortion and that's it. And they hate on women who choose anything else and think anything differently than them. And leftists hear dominance and submit, and their minds immediately go to sexuality. Whereas most traditional people and Christian people hear that and their minds go to the Bible and what the Bible says about this. And what these people don't get is that when you're in a biblical marriage, yes, wives submit to their husband, but husbands are also commanded to love their wives as Christ loved the church, and he gave himself up for the church. They are called to protect and lay their lives down for their wives. And the left is so obsessed with this like power dynamic and this power struggle between husband and wife, man and woman in traditional marriages. But the Bible teaches us that husbands and wives are one flesh, and husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. And it's not, husbands like cracking the whip so that their wives make them a sandwich. It's a partnership. And the Bible acknowledges that men and women are different. They also have different strong suits, but they also make a really great team. And what this woman's saying, she goes into the video, like later in the video, she's talking about how this goes deeper than just this like sexual kink and like dominance and submission. She's talking about how like women wanting to make their own bread and not vaccinate their kids, like all of this is part of the kink, and it's all about their need for control and everything. And she says that we're anti-science, and we're actually anti the science that we've been fed for years. But science evolves, and now new information is coming out that says that, maybe what we've been told for years wasn't true. And we've seen this now with vaccines, food dyes, Tylenol, the food pyramid, like all of these things that HHS is doing now, and we're updating these antiquated viewpoints. So who is really being anti-science and closed-minded? It's the liberals who want to hang on to old ways of thinking, and then conservatives are really the ones that are open to admitting where we've gone wrong and updating guidelines to reflect modern day. And, liberals think that marriage is this like horrible, oppressive union, and Christians really think that it's something beautiful, and it is something beautiful. Like we want these things because it's good, and we think it's good because it is good. So just crazy. I'm going to play this next video for tomorrow. I'm going to save it for tomorrow. So Thank you for watching tonight and scrolling along with me. You can follow me on social media at Hayley Caronia, HayleyCaronia. And I'm on X, I'm on Truth Social, TikTok, Instagram. And make sure that if you've gotten this far and you're not subscribed to the show, you should subscribe to the show. Make sure that you're following everywhere. It all helps. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye.